Hello everyone, welcome back to Baldur's Gate 3 Overexplained. Last time we met some strangers in the road and learnt about the Absolute, and then found the Owlbear cave who had attacked that person and solved a small puzzle regarding some loot and a selenite prayer. Now ahead of us we have an owlbear and an owlbear cub somewhere there. Now this is an example, rather than having a encounter where you have lots of smaller things, this is one very, very large thing with significantly more HP. So here we want to think about where we're going to stand, who's going to be attacking and how we're going to keep those people alive, because somebody like Lae'zel is most efficient when they're attacking with their sword, but that means they're going to have to be right up close to the owlbear. Now the other option, if we have it, would be to consume a potion of animal speaking, or to cast the spell Speak with Animals. But we have psychic resistance, fire resistance. It appears we don't currently have a spell, potion of animal speaking, or a scroll Speak with Animals. So the humane option does not seem to be as much an option for us today as it might be with a different party or under different circumstances, but know that there are many ways to solve any individual problem. But for now it looks like we're going to have a fight, and so we're going to want someone up close.
Enough waiting. I crave blood.
Because if Lae'zel is up close, then that means Astarion's sneak attacks don't require him to be hidden. We just require an ally to be within 5 feet of the thing that we're trying to attack. So Lae'zel has longsword and shield, so she's doing 1d8 slashing, and her armor class is currently at 18. So that's going to be her best bet for being up close and personal. And I think, even more to that regard, we could take Shadowheart here, and if we press K to see her spells, these are the spells that we currently have prepared. Now, normally, a cleric would only be able to change their prepared spells immediately after a long rest. But the game doesn't have that full limitation on us right now, so we could change something right now if we wish to. For example, we could forget Inflict Wounds and instead take Shield of Faith. And that would allow us to increase her armor class by 2, but we do require concentration on it. Now, instead of doing that, I think what I would prefer to do is, just before getting into the fight, have Shadowheart cast Bless on the party, and then we would have plus 1d4 to all of our attack rolls, and that's going to impact multiple people, which means we're going to be able to have more consistent attacks in the fight to come. Now, that only lasts for 1 minute, so we want to make sure we do it when the time is right. But when we do it, if we find Bless down here, so we can bless up to 3 creatures. They receive 1d4 bonus to attack rolls and saving throws. But of course, there are 4 of us. But if we use a 2nd level spell slot instead of a 1st level spell slot, we get to increase the spell by 1 creature for every spell slot above 1st. So if we use a 2nd level spell slot, we can apply Bless to 4 creatures, and they will then receive that saving throw. So we're going to do that. I think we're going to have just the whole party approach from this side. We could split up and have somebody approach from over here as well, but I don't think it's terribly necessary. But what we will do before then is get everybody sneaking together.
None shall see me.
Hello again.
And this will allow us to see the vision cones of the threats.
They won't see me coming.
And we can hide behind this kind of large pillar structure in the center as we get ourselves ready for combat. So, let's go into turn-based mode. By doing this, we can cast Bless with Shadowheart, but the clock doesn't start ticking on her concentration of that spell for 1 minute. Because we're in turn-based mode, each turn qualifies as 6 seconds in an order, And so we'll get our 10 turns out of Bless. So, Bless at 2nd level. And you'll see it can do anyone within the circle, and everybody has the highlighted symbol that means we're going to benefit from this spell. And so we are all now blessed, and Shadowheart is no longer hiding because she cast a spell. But that's fine. We can now go over to Lae'zel. We want Lae'zel to get as close to this creature as possible and to start attacking as soon as she can, really. So, the creature is now not going to turn around because we're in turn-based mode. It's kind of locked into where it stood.
One false move.
So we can have Lae'zel push up to here, and then we can have her dash for 30 feet more movement, and that's going to get us right up next to the Owlbear. And we make sure that we have riposte on, so when a creature misses us with a melee attack, we expend a superiority die to retaliate and deal 1d8 weapon damage, plus 3 strength modifier, plus 1d8 slashing damage, and this will use our reaction. So we're now close enough to get into a good fight in the moment we want to. Astarion, so long as we can get past this rock structure here, we can now do a sneak attack ranged. We can't have disadvantage on the target. Now if we select our ranged attack here, we can see the target is obscured by shadows. So unfortunately, that's not going to work out for a sneak attack. What we could do...
Let's not get caught off guard.
We have the light cantrip. Now, unfortunately, there's nothing here for us to cast the light cantrip on particularly. Do we have something we can waste? We could probably sacrifice a bagel. So if we drop this bagel and cast light on it, we now have a very bright bagel, and it's going to be an action to throw that next time. So we'll put ourselves right next to it and hope, in fact if we pick it up, we cannot pick it up without a full action. So that's what Gothic's doing right now. Shadowheart already cast a spell.
I'm just waiting.
Astarion is waiting to sneak attack. So we'll end our turn and we'll see if everybody else sees us. Now the Owlbears will take a full turn. They did not move in that 6 seconds, so now we get a full round again.
I wish to live in more interesting times.
How far can we throw a bagel? Hopefully that is now illuminating the Owlbear. So we can look at our sneak attack ranged. We still have disadvantage on the target, unfortunately, so we're going to need to move in a bit. Are you still obscured now that we are closer? No, now we have advantage on our attack. So, do we want to attack ranged, or do we want to just try and attack melee? Target is too far for that. We don't have enough movement remaining. So it's going to be a ranged attack. And it's going to be a ranged sneak attack to start off the fight. So we're now in initiative. We caught the Owlbear off guard. So the Owlbear and the Owlbear cub have the surprised condition. So they cannot take actions or reactions until a turn has passed and their surprised condition has gone.
Ready for anything.
Now, Lae'zel here is still waiting to get into the initiative with an attack, so we can do that. No point in doing a disarming attack unless we just want to do the extra 1d8 slashing damage. Or we could try a menacing attack to get them to be afraid. But I think right now we can simply do a standard attack. And how about one that inflicts bleeding? So that was a critical miss, so there will be no bleeding here today. Even with Bless giving us plus 1d4, bleeding, a critical miss doesn't impact the modifiers at all, or the modifiers do not impact the critical miss at all, rather.
Time to push my luck again.
Right, so now Gothic is up. We can move
Another step forward.
30 feet up here, and now we can see the Owlbear ahead of us. So the easy choice is going to be Chromatic Orb, but can we twin cast it at, if we do first level is 1 sorcery point, or second level is 2 sorcery points. Let's do just first level right now. Can we see the cub? We cannot. The path is interrupted by the large pillar. So since we can't attack the cub at the back, we're going to turn off the meta magic and just make a standard attack with 4d8 thunder damage. 12 is not great for 4d8, but we'll take it. Shadowheart and Astarion still have turns. So now Astarion can get a sneak attack because Lae'zel is within 5 feet of our foe. So let's go take a melee sneak attack.
Excellent.
And we critical hit. So it shows us 2 criticals here. And so that's attack roll 20 critical, 1d20 plus 3 plus 2 proficiency plus 3 dexterity modifier was 28 on our attack roll. The damage was 2d6 plus 3 dexterity. So that roll is the standard weapon roll, because our short sword does 1d6 damage plus 3 dexterity modifier, but that's doubled to 2d6 because of the sneak attack. Then the second part here is the sneak attack damage. So we get the same attack roll because they come off of the same attack roll. And then we do 9 damage on 4d6 piercing because we do 2d6 piercing sneak attack damage, but that's doubled to 4d6. Unfortunately, our rolls were fairly low. But now, that's our attack action. We also have our bonus action offhand melee strikes. So we managed to hit with a critical hit there as well, and then we can use our last bonus action to attack again. And so Astarion does a huge amount of damage, and this Owlbear hasn't even taken a turn yet and still has the surprised condition. So it's just Shadowheart remaining. You can see she still has the green circle next to her name on the right, indicating she still has her action to spend. Now, are we going to be able to get line of sight on this Owlbear?
Moving.
Looks like we are. So at this point, we can either use a spell to try and kill this creature more efficiently, or we can wait until the next orbit comes round. Now, the Owlbear is at the top of the order, and it's had its turn under the surprised condition. So we're going to skip Lae'zel because she came late into the initiative. The baby Owlbear cub is going to be surprised. Then we'll have a new round starting, and the Owlbear will get an attack roll in. So I would prefer that they don't attack us at all, if possible. So that would mean we had to do 20 damage on this turn, which is unlikely, but still possible. If we did it with 5d6, 5d6 is 31 max damage. 30 damage. Of course it's 30 damage. So there is a chance that we could roll high enough to do 20 damage on this many dice. We can't get close enough to do inflict wounds, unfortunately. So we'll see if we can kill it with this. We can't. It still has 6 HP left, unfortunately.
Nothing important is ever.
However, Gothic still has a bonus action. Unfortunately, Meta Magic, Quicken Spell, spells that take an action take a bonus action instead. That costs 3 sorcery points, and we do not have that many. So that's not going to be an option for us. So we end our turn. And the owlbear is not happy. So the owlbear hit Astarion twice for 22 damage. He still has 1 HP, just about. And then the owlbear used Crushing Flight on Lae'zel as a bonus action, but did not cause us to go prone. We made our saving throw, in part helped by having Bless active. Now, the owlbear has 6 HP remaining, and we have a full team's worth of turns.
This feels good.
So Astarion can make a sneak attack melee. Now, if you're ever confused about why this is a sneak attack, when clearly the owlbear knows that Astarion is here and is not being sneaky, you can often kind of rephrase it in your head as strategic attack. So we're making a strategic attack because the owlbear is distracted by Lae'zel's presence within 5 feet of it. We can make a strategic attack and do extra damage.
The cub looks from you to his dead mother. A single strike will end his suffering.
No, it's too adorable.
You watch speechless as the cub begins to eat his mother.
It's only slightly dark.
Fighting chance now.
Or we've just prolonged its misery.
So now we can go around looting what's around us. The owlbear has the head of a broken spear on it, and that means we now have between us the head of a broken spear and the shaft of a broken spear. So there might be a way for us to repair that later. Some investigation needed. Nothing else on them, but there are other things here. Piles of bones without much extra, but there is a headless skeleton. The Oak Father's Embrace. Medium armor. Embroidered with the simple maxim, nature is the true state of the world, this armor radiates a faint divine power. The wearer of this item gains Order of Nature. Undead creatures that hit the wearer receive 1d6 radiant damage. Beasts that hit the wearer deal an additional 1d6 radiant damage. So if we know we're going to be amongst the undead, one to consider for Lae'zel. She's the only one in the party that can currently wear medium armor. Oh no, Shadowheart can as well, excuse me. There's an owlbear egg here.
It's mine now. An owlbear egg. These are supposed to be worth a fortune.
If we check our inventory. Owlbear egg, worth 750 gold. That is a decent chunk of change. Even this magic armor is only worth 150. So, anything else? There's a pork loin here. That's 6 camp supplies, but you'll see if Astarion currently picks this up, as Astarion is the selected character, they would become encumbered. So, if we check their character sheet, we can see they're right on the edge of the white and the yellow in their carrying capacity. So, if Astarion now picks this up, and we have the rest of the party order to run across here, everyone will run, but Astarion is now walking because he's carrying so much weight his movement speed has been reduced. So the easiest way to combat this is to spread the weight amongst the party. So we can give things to Lae'zel. She has a bigger weight carrying capacity because her strength score is higher. So Astarion's strength is 8. So 8 times 20 is 160. That makes his maximum carrying capacity. Whereas Lae'zel's strength is 17, so 340 is her maximum carrying capacity. So these things do have other impacts in the way we go adventuring, but we will want to make sure that nobody is encumbered if it can be helped. Now, if I drop something on the ground here, something relatively inconsequential, like that pork loin, if we drop that, what we do also have the option to do here in-game is you can right-click an object, and there is a pick up and add to wares. So if we do this, we automatically mark that item to be sold. When we get back to the shop, there will be a button that just says sell all wares. So we can do things like marking our gemstones with that. We can add to wares, and there'll be a single button where we go, we know we don't want to keep any of these things. We can push a button and they will be sold. The other thing we can do if we right click on them, if we remove that from the wares, there is a send to camp button here. So if we click that, the item is removed from our inventory, and now there is a chest back at camp called, I think it's Traveler's Chest, or Adventurer's Chest, or Adventurer's Stash perhaps. But there is a chest there now that we can move things from our inventory directly to that stash, so we don't have to carry them around forever, but we can still keep track of them if we wish. So it's kind of like having a giant bag of holding, except to retrieve something from it, we have to go directly there. So I think that's going to be most everything we're going to get here. There is another short sword if we want it. I don't know if anybody else is going to be proficient with that in a way that we want to be wielding two light weapons. But for now, that is that combat done, and I'm going to call that one a shorter episode there. But if you have any questions about the combat that you just watched, or any other questions about Baldur's Gate 3, put them down in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.